one of the reasons why Andy's able to speak that way and he's able to push back against people is because he really believes in it, right? You can tell he's not pressuring you because he believes in the words that he's saying. But if Andy didn't believe the words that he was saying, or like, let's just say that somebody objected to me and I didn't believe in what I was saying and I tried to overcome that objection, I did try to push back, it would sound fake and it would sound like I was after their pocket, right? Andy always says, and this is something that he taught me really early on, is everybody has an imaginary string tied from their heart down to their wallet. And if you can get to the heart, you can get to the wallet. But you can't go straight for the wallet sometimes. You got to go to the heart, right? And so if you can connect with them and you can really make a relationship with them and you can show them that you're actually caring about them, because people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care, you're going to be able to actually get them to change their mind, right? People don't change their minds, they make new decisions, or something that Zig Ziglar always says, right? More information, I give them a new perspective, and then they're able to change their mind, right? So if I'm somebody who's maybe throwing numbers at people, and everybody's saying no all the time, or people are giving excuses and they're avoiding making a decision and a commitment to go forward, well, the reality is that I'm not giving them enough information. I'm not giving them enough to say yes to, right? So there's more that I can do inside my conversation. So if you look at our scripts, you'll notice there's a lot of questions. The idea is to get their gears turning and to get them to start thinking about their situations. We want to compare where they're at now versus what it might look like. Tell them a story about something that happened with a previous client of yours, right? A previous client that you could have had that didn't get it put in place, that did get put in place, how it did service them, how it did help them, right? And Andy's saying these stories, how we can tell stories, we can start to get people to take mental pictures of what's going on, and it'll get their emotions going, right? And that's what'll get people to make decisions, is the emotion behind the logic, that they know that they need it, but it's not emotional enough and it doesn't make enough sense to them right now to do it. So we get their emotions going by asking questions. Okay, two things. Hamza, I know that you said, how do we talk to warm market, right? So here's a trick. If you guys need to get off the ground, if you guys don't have a ton of lead money, if you guys just want to get more sales, if you guys want to find more business, I'm going to tell you guys a few different tricks. And I was actually talking to some people about this today. Number one, if you're brand new, or if you're in your first like 6 months or even a year, right? Like it doesn't even matter. Guys, there's two PowerPoints inside of the VT system. One is for Americo's CBO 100. One is for the Eagle Premier Americo's final expense policy. Guys, if I had no money at all and I had nothing in my bank account and I couldn't buy leads, what I would do is I would use those presentations because they're tailored to get people to realize that they need that product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to people that I know. I'm going to say, hey, Hamza, man, I just got started in this new business and this new opportunity. And since I'm so new, part of my training is to go talk to some people about what the products that we have are, just do some education on a Zoom call, share my screen, just kind of walk you through like a 5-minute PowerPoint, 10-minute PowerPoint. You have like 5-10 minutes, I could jump on with you, just help me do my training. I got to do it with 10 people, right? You pick 10 people that are in the age range of like under 50, I would say, for CBO. And then for America Eagle Premier, I would try to pick 5 to 10 people that are, maybe above 55, right? And so your goal is just to share that presentation with people. And the crazy thing is that you're not asking them to purchase and you're not pressuring people to purchase, but that PowerPoint is designed to get them to start thinking about how they should have it. Okay. So what I do, right, if I am having a conversation with somebody and I'm going through what most people think about most insurance, what most people think about how this stuff works, right? And then it's like, this is what most people think. This is what most people think. And then it's like, this is what it really does. This is how it really does benefit people. This is how it benefits one of our clients, right? It's stories, it's questions, getting them to think, and it's going to educate them on why they're great programs and why everybody should have it put in place, right? If I had no money today in my bank account and if I was trying to come up with a way to find some sales guys, you guys, there's so many different things that you can do, but I'm going to give you a trick that I would do as well on top of that other one, is everybody out there knows 30 people. Okay. Everybody. I know 30 people. You know 30 people. Man, you probably got 30 Facebook friends. You know what I mean? And those people probably got 30 more Facebook friends. So I'm not saying that you should go, talk to every single person that you've ever met in your entire life. But like, guys, everybody has a network. Okay. And if you can look around in your own network and see that there's just you guys, Stash always make me laugh. And you guys can look around in your network and be like, all right, man, there's 30 people that I might know that might need an insurance policy. Who knows? I don't know until I have the conversation. right? And I can do the same play of, hey, I just got started in this business. They just want me to pick 30 people that I know to make this presentation to. It's just going to help me get educated on the product. All I got to do is just explain it to you. You got 10, 20 minutes that I can do that, right? And then I'm just going to go through the PowerPoint. I'm not going to try to sell anybody anything cold, but I'm just going to get on a Zoom, show them the presentation. The presentation will do the selling for me. And now I have people that are open-minded or asking, how much does that cost? Right. And then it's my job that at that point, once they're interested, to go and close it. Right. Yeah, we can make it cost whatever it, would be affordable for you. Right. We can customize and structure it. They're pretty flexible. Do you think it's something that sounds like it would help you and your family out? Yes. Cool. Let's take a look at some options. Right. And then you go in and then you go right to the app. If I was going to start selling people around me though, I wouldn't like, I would do policy reviews for free too, right? And the reason I said everybody knows 30 people, right? So let's just say that like you work a list of 30 people that you know. And like, I'm just being honest, like I got so many contacts in my phone that like people from high school, like people I went to college with, like people from different events that I've met, like I would work my network, and like you guys probably got a contact base too, and like a Facebook group of friends and like an Instagram following that you guys follow. And like there's leads everywhere, they're just people. Leads are people. So if you're looking to try to start talking to people, if you're looking to try to start talking to people, there's people everywhere, right? And there's opportunities everywhere. I hope that helps. So, oh, this is what I was going to say though. Once you work that list, right? Let's just say, well, they all know 30 people too. And this is something that I told this story the other day. When I had my first death claim, I didn't buy leads for 4 weeks, and I wrote like 40 grand or something in a month because I went to every single person that I had sold and I said, hey, I had a total change of perspective. I was like, wow, people are actually able to pass away. Like I forgot about that. I was just selling insurance. So I went to every single person that I had sold and I called them and I said, hey, I'm glad that we got your final expenses taken care of. Now, who in your family would you be responsible for if someone else passed? Who would you be coming out of pocket for? And they're like, oh my gosh, my daughter, my son, my kids, my best friend, right? And I'm like, well, we got to get them taken care of. We don't want that to happen to you. Like you're responsible enough to watch out for them. They should be responsible enough to look out for you. And so I wrote a ton of business because I was just talking to people. And the point is that everybody out there knows people. So once you work your 30, well, they all know 30 people too. And there's another network that you can get into. So once you communicate with them, hey, it's cool, man, I already have insurance. Cool. Who doesn't around you? Right? Because they know 30 people too. And you're a conversation away from being linked to somebody that's going to help you have a sale, right? And you're going to help someone else get protected. And then Chris Holt, I know that you had a question too, but Hamza, does that help?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I got
Cool.
like a few people that are like business owners, and this my client even recommended like, yo, you should get a policy for both of them in case they pass away, because then the business is gonna be, who's gonna own the business, what's gonna happen, everything like that. And my own client told me that. I was like, damn, I didn't think about that. So,
It's really
yeah.
good. Yeah, I love it. I love it. What Chris, are you still on here? There he is. What's up, dog?
Yeah, what's up?
What's up, man? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Andy, like, this doesn't happen to me all the time, but every now and then I'll have someone who had something fixated in their mind on kind of what they wanted. You got that person that wants 100 grand in whole life when they just had a heart attack, right? And so, we get into the presentation and I'm showing them 25,000, 10,000, 15,000, or they have a certain expectation for life insurance with a low budget. I just wanted to know like if he had like some word tracks on like how to bring people down to reality and still see the value, because they have this
Yeah.
fixated idea of what they want and what they think is fair and what they think they can get based on, you know, aunt whoever or their friend who has this random term policy, right? So I was just kind of wondering like if there was something out there, something that I could say that would kind of bring people back down to earth.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I love it. And dude, you sound like a podcaster. They're gonna start calling you Brad Lee soon. Nice setup. I like it. You sound like a pro. Um, but I was gonna say, to answer your question, what I try to do 9 times out of 10 is, and you're like just like me when I got started, I was brand new in sales, right? One thing that we have the opportunity to do during the conversation is try to see what their objections are before we go into the presentation. So one thing that I like to do is I'll ask leading questions before I get into any kind of numbers. So I already know what their perception is of the situation, because I'm going to give you an example. If I say, hey, and we'll use your example, actually. Let's say that somebody thinks and believes that they can get $100,000 of whole life that's going to be permanent and in place forever and really solve their problem like that for $5 a month. Well, if I knew that ahead of time, I could combat it before I'm trying to fight back, because I'm trying to cover lost ground because I already gave them the numbers, right? So I'm going to give you an example, right? I might say, how long have you been thinking about looking into this? Right. And then they'll be like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. Sometimes people say 2, 3 years. I'll just be like, oh, wow, you've been looking around for a while. Was there anything that you saw so far that you did or didn't like? Right. And they might be like, I saw 100 grand for whole life that's permanent for $5. And you're like, okay, now I have an opportunity to change their perception, right? To get them to view it reality wise. But what happens is once we give them all the numbers, like, they have all the power, right? So we don't want to be stuck fighting back afterwards. We want to try to alter their perspective ahead of time rather than having to fight back. So it gives us a better opportunity when we do go in for the close. And just something that I say is, hey, we look at programs like that, but we work with those companies and we don't usually recommend them because it usually doesn't actually end up paying out, because they don't tell you between the lines, Chris, is that down the road, those policies are actually going to change in price, or they're only going to cover certain things like accidental death. And I'm sure that you were looking for something that was actually going to pay out in full, right? And so, like, it just gives you the chance to, before you give all the goods away, to give them some reason to know that that's not actually what we're going to be looking at. That isn't realistic. Also, on top of that, you have to really build the value, because their perception was so different that we have to throw as much value as we can to get them to try to make a commitment, especially on that first call, right? Because their perception's just been knocked. But over the course of that call, I'm going to try to just every chance I get, like, knock down what their perception was to what I am actually able to show them. Does that kind of help a little bit?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Typically, yeah, I would like try to target the price. I would just say something like, why was it really important that you leave that much? That's typically.
Yeah, I love it. That's good. Well, whatever you're doing is working for the most part. So you're throwing deals down every day. Let's see here. What's up, Christian?
Hey, what's going on, Tyler? How you doing, bro?
Dude, best day of my life, man. How you doing?
Every day, man. Not everybody got it, so I like to say, tell people congratulations, you got another day. But so I just had a quick question. I was looking through the agent resources earlier on the age reference part, and I see that anywhere from 18 to 40 and 14 to 60 is going to be a term, and it says whole life is 60 to 80. So are we not selling whole life for anybody under the age of 60? Is it just that 20-year range for whole life?
So I would say if you're selling final expense, and you're selling final expense so far right now, right?
Yes.
So generally, for the most part, Christian, what we're going to do is we're going to stick inside that box of whole life and just assume America's whole life products when we do go for our presentations. This is just going to keep things simple as we're getting started. And even people that are like 45 and like the targeted demographic of these people with the leads that we're buying, they're pretty much all going to fall in the category where that product does make sense for them. As you kind of get into different demographics and look at different lead sources and things like that, it might open up to where a term policy for someone in that situation, it might make more sense. But for the most part, most of the people that we're going to be selling through the leads that we're getting in that targeted demographic of that final expense lead source, that policy, yes, will make sense. So even if they're in their 50s, they're most of the time, if we're talking to them through the lead sources that we're buying with the final expense demographic, it's going to be a simplify issue whole life policy, because that will solve their final expense problem. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because probably 70% of my leads are under 60, and I didn't know if I was going to be doing whole life or I was going to be doing a lot of terms.
Yeah. So here's what I would say, right? If they're under 60 years old, there's always an opportunity for a term. Absolutely. The issue for a lot of, I would say that, again, the targeted demographic of who we're selling to, if they have a couple of medications that they take or any kind of medical, diagnosis, a lot of times you're going to have to go term because they aren't going to be able to qualify for a term. So we're going to lean on whole life. But if you do have an opportunity that is a great, they have awesome health. Yes, man, absolutely. We can go the term route, the term 125, the term 100 are simple term products. CBO 100 is a cash back option term product. The term products have strict underwriting. And if you're in a live dial room, we'll help you work through those situations when you're on the phone.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Yeah, bro, of course. Christian P, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? Hey, honestly, I was gonna just add a little more to Chris Holt's question because that was a kind of a good one. I literally just ran into as I was presenting before this call, and it wasn't really like super unrealistic, like one of those, people that wanted like a term policy for like 150,000 at like age 80. It was just more like I had one lady really stuck on like only direct bill, $20 to $30, that's it. And it's like, I know you said kind of like a way to kind of mitigate that is to have the objection come a lot earlier. So like if that's really it, like let them know, hey, we're only going to really be able to take a look at these options or this this is realistic. But I mean, if you're already kind of past that, right? Like, and you're at the end, like how would you, I know that's the way to mitigate it, but how would you go about it at the end? Because at the end, I'm kind of like, I had a pretty good why, which is her mom passed and she had to come out of pocket. So that one was like, okay, easy. But at the end was like, direct billing limited us. And then that 10,000 amount was too high. It wasn't $20 to $30.
Yeah. So I think that whenever we do get stuck at the numbers, it's important to remove the numbers from the conversation, right? Because they're like, they don't want to be closed on the money, right? So our goal is to, like I said this last week, I think it was on this call or another call, but we want to close them on the idea of getting something and not the price at that point, because that is solvable and flexible. We can change all that. But if they're still committed to trying to get protection and taking care of their family, it's like, okay, there's still a need to be filled, right? So if I ever get, and I did it this today on live dials, I had like a 15-minute conversation with this lady. She wanted to speak to people that I had death claims with to know that it was real, and like I went back and forth with her for a while, but she objected, right? And same thing for you. If someone objects after the numbers and they're really pushing back, it's like, we want to remove the numbers. So I always go, okay, let's just take a step back, right? Let me take a step back. Is this something that sounds like it would make sense for you? Right? Is your family getting taken care of in the event of a death, or if you needed access to money or whatever the kind of policy it is that something that sounds like it would make sense for you and your family? Because right now, I think that you told me that they don't have anything in savings and they wouldn't be able to come out of pocket. So it's not a matter of whether or not we need to get something. It's really just figuring out which option it's going to be. And I'm on your team. I just want to do what makes the most sense for you. So why don't we do this, right? I'm taking all the pressure out. I'm backing up. I'm not hard closing, right? And it's when their perception is so off, right? I got to step out of it. I'm like, I can't just overcome an objection. Like I need to think about an objection and be like, go into my word track and overcome it. I got to like step out of it because their perception was so off, or they're so thrown off. Take all the pressure out of it. And then when we take all the pressure out of it, I come back and I say, okay, if that doesn't make sense to start off with, why don't we do this? Because we both agree, right, Christian, that Susie's going to need at least something. Right? And 2,000 is better than 0 and 4,000 is better than 2,000. And we want to make sure that it fits financially within your pocket. And we don't want to do anything that's going to take any food off the table. And 100% of my clients agree that if it doesn't make sense financially, it doesn't make sense to do it all. So let's just make sure we start you off with at least something. So the Susie's going to have a little bit of something there to support her during that time when she's going to have to come out of pocket and worry about those final expenses. Is that fair? Right? And then like, I'm expecting an objection. obviously from then on. But I'm just trying to I'm backing out of the numbers, and I'm trying to like close them on the idea, the general idea of getting it, right? Hey, if your daughter did have to come out of pocket, and hey, I'm not saying that we should do this. I'm just saying, like, if your daughter did have to come out of pocket, like, hey, Christian, where are you? Can you unmute?
Yeah. I'm
The
still.
role play, right? So like, I'm like, hey, 10,000 is, $50 a month, and 15,000 is like, $75 a month. Which one makes more sense?
Oh no, that's too high.
Okay, so Christian, let's take a step back here for a second. If your daughter Susie did have to come out of pocket for your final expenses, would she have the money to be able to pay that in cash, like that $10,000 to $15,000 range that you said it would cost?
No, she couldn't afford it.
Okay, so if she couldn't afford it, how do you think she would be getting the money to be able to take care of it?
I don't know.
Okay, so it seems like it's probably not a matter of whether or not we need at least something, right? Because I know that we can both agree that the last thing that we would want is for our family to be in any kind of hardship after we're gone, when we had an opportunity to solve that when we were still alive. Can we both agree on that?
Yeah, we can agree on that.
Okay, so if it isn't a matter of whether or not we need to at least do something, why don't we do this? Because we can always come back and add on more, but I just want to make sure that you guys are going to be taken care of, because I just spoke to Sydney last week, and Sydney, she actually called me because she saw the notes that we had written down on the call, and she thought that her mom did get a policy, but she actually didn't. And she passed away, and there was no coverage in place, and that broke my heart to have that conversation. So what we're going to do here today is we're just going to get a portion of what we need, and we can always come back and add on more. Now the 2,000 is going to be $20 a month, and the 5,000 is going to be $38 a month. Out of these two, on a financial month-to-month basis, which one makes more sense to start off with?
Damn, that was good.
And like, it's something, right? And like, someone's probably going to object, and like, it's not going to work 100% of the time, but like, that's the battle that we got to fight. And like, it's cool when people say, no, we got a whole list of these people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, man. And just to kind of sum that up, so you're saying obviously kind of if you presented those numbers, take a step back, kind of reevaluate everything. That way they kind of remembered, they wasn't the price that they were looking at. It's kind of the coverage is what kind of the most important thing.
Yeah. And so they just don't want to feel like you're trying to close them, on the money.
Mhm.
They want to feel like they're being taken care of. So like, when you step back like that, it's not about the money. Like, hey, it isn't about the money. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to take the pressure out of it. And this is like, if I do a really good job up front and ask all these questions and get their objections out, and I'm like, and I do my trial close, and they say there's no reason why they wouldn't move forward or whatever it is, right? And then they're like, I need to think about it. Well, I'm trying to overcome that objection. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you just told me there's nothing else. So I'm like, since it isn't a matter of whether or not we need it, we'll take a look at a lower option, and we'll go ahead and get the request for coverage started, because it's not a matter of whether or not we're going to get it. You just told me that. So go ahead and verify the date of birth for me and the spelling of your first and last name, right? And I'm already just jumping into the app because like, we're doing it. And that's my attitude, because I'm so confident that this is something that's going to help you. And then they're going to feel that and be like, oh man, this guy's serious. I'm not just, getting nothing. This is like a legitimate thing, right? And then I'm like, all right, just to make sure, we got the $5,039.12 a month. That's going to make more sense than that $10,000